Hey, this is Russell, and I work at the video store, the place that we can all go to every week when it's movie night. On days like today, our interesting customers pop in to rent something, and we go through the films that they've loved across their life. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was ready, interesting!
How's it?
Good morning, Russ.
How are you, my G-Force?
I'm good, dude. How are you?
I'm good. Are you warm?
I'm pretty warm as one can be.
I managed to miss a little bit of this weekend's
Oh, yeah,
cold.
it was pretty brutal.
I managed to get to Durban, which is where we should all hibernate, or all flock to.
Yeah.
Welcome to the video store.
Yes.
Thank you for wandering into our lovely video store. I have got myself a Graeme G-Force Hackney,
Hello.
who is very much the producer of the show. He's also an editor. And my name is Russell. I'm the owner of The Bioscope, which is an independent cinema here in Johannesburg. And occasionally we get together behind the counter of our video store and we talk about the movies and the series that we're loving. The big movie of this week is F1.
Yes.
Did you have a chance to see it?
I sure did.
Okay. I wonder whether my good buddy Neil saw it.
Oh, right.
He is a good friend of mine and also very much the person who I think knows the most about F1 in my life. So if he's watched it, I'd love to hear his feedback.
Cool.
I think he could maybe give us a little visit in a moment.
Nice.
We'll then talk about some nice news and some interesting entertainment stuff. I've got some stories to share.
Yeah.
And then perhaps some TV shows.
Cool.
What else have you been watching?
Not much, to be honest.
All right. And one other thing to mention now, in the week that this episode is coming out, we are doing a Video Store Presents.
Cool.
So this is our chance to screen the movies that some of us know and love, and the others in the team go, I've never seen that. And we go, what do you mean you haven't seen that? So with 28 years out and about now in the world of cinema, I wanted to see 28 Days Later. Cool. I haven't seen it. You've seen it?
Yeah.
Okay. It feels like it's an important one to see, especially to get excited about what is a growing franchise, because there's going to be another 28 years later.
Yeah.
I've seen it in the release schedule coming up.
Yep.
They're calling it the Bone Temple.
The Bone Temple,
and it's going to be in like Jan,
it's much soon. Because it's already been shot. I didn't know they'd already shot it.
Yeah, interesting. So 28 Days Later, the Video Store presents, and it's going to be Wednesday, the 2nd of July at 6 p.m. Remember, if you can show us at the counter that you are a subscriber, you get free popcorn.
Nice.
But this is about us. If anyone else joins, it's a bonus. Yeah. This is about us coming together to watch the movies that we should have watched by now. Oh, here he is. How's it?
Hey, how you doing, Russie?
Good, man.
Good to see you here. Just returning my video that I borrowed from you.
And what was that video?
It was the F1 movie.
Hey.
What are the chances?
How are you, my pal?
I'm doing good.
Good,
bit chilly, but warming up.
I want to get into it.
Okay.
Perhaps we can you can give me some initial thoughts.
Well, all right. So, as you may have said, I'm a bit of a fan of F1. I've been watching it since 95, 96.
Okay, how old were you then?
I was 10, 11. So, that was when Michael Schumacher was just starting out, coming into it. Ayrton Senna had just passed away. I missed the whole big 80s Ayrton Senna, Alan Prost rivalry kind of section. But then when Michael Schumacher, he became my hero. And then he started driving for Ferrari. And I've been hooked ever since. Used to
so
watch every weekend,
This movie probably, it's got huge expectations to meet, right?
Yeah.
Because there's never really been such an official F1 movie, right?
No, there has actually. In the 1960s, there was a movie called Grand Prix.
Oh, yes.
So,
and was that
very cool movie.
Yeah.
It's fantastically shot. It basically does what this movie does with 1960s technology, putting cameras on cars, filming crashes. It's a very interesting piece of history. Not the greatest movie plot-wise or whatever. Maybe some similarities coming through for the new version as well. But like still super like interesting to watch, but very much of its time period. Very slow, very developing slowly.
Okay, but now this one's come out that is very much an official F1 movie, right? It's been kind of paid for by Formula One.
Yeah.
Formula One is just a big corporation, right?
Yeah. So
it's a big business. It's not linked to any government.
No.
Because like rugby, for example, it's all government federations, right? Where Formula One's not that.
Not really, no. So Formula One's a big business. It's the closest is maybe like NFL in America or the Premier League, where you have country and whatever alliances and allegiances, like Ferrari's Italy, McLaren's England, that kind of stuff. But really, it's like my favorite team is the red team or the blue team or the energy drinks team or whatever it might be. Yeah. So there's no centralized body other than the FIA, which governs the rules of the sport. But the company itself is owned by a company called Liberty Media, which is a big American, basically media company. And their whole thing is to turn this from a sport into an entertainment package, like NFL is, even like WWE is, but maybe not without all the fakeness.
When did they buy it?
They bought it, I think, in the 2010s, somewhere like 2015 or so.
And there's obviously no coincidence that Drive to Survive happened shortly after this.
Totally, and they that was like their big push. So before, there was this old grumpy man called Bernie Ecclestone. He's one of the richest people in England. Yep. He owned Formula One. He was the owner of the brand, everything. He was a tough little man, and he hated new technology. He hated Twitter. He hated internet. He hated video. He kept the rights as close as he could keep them. Made sure that like only the most expensive sports packages would show the sport, and kept it very exclusive.
Quite elitist in a way. But also, Formula One, what makes it so special is its link to science.
Yes.
And innovation and technology.
Absolutely.
Like it is the apex of design.
Of motorsports, of motoring,
but just design and engineering
design,
in general. So for someone to not like technology, is perhaps a scary place to be. Yeah. Okay. All right. So then, after Drive to Survive comes this movie.
Yeah. So Drive to Survive obviously made it massive. Like F1's always been big-ish, but it's never been like this multi-billion-dollar global phenomenon that it is now. And that's Drive to Survive, like 100% Drive to Survive.
And I'm 100% that person. So I'm gonna come from that position of someone that really only got into this in COVID due to Drive to Survive, where it was a little bit like I really enjoyed doing English literature at varsity because I felt I couldn't talk my way through a bookshop.
Oh, right.
I could talk my way through a CD store, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I guess a record store still applies to this analogy. I could talk my way through a video store. Like you could see where things fit, where things are, how things go, but I couldn't talk my way through a bookstore. And so I really appreciated like getting like English Lit 101 learning. And F1 was that for me. It was like I guess I dropped off at Schumacher. I didn't really watch races. Where now, like the moment you know the characters and you know the story, you're invested.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't have to necessarily watch the races, like the Austrian Grand Prix that just happened. But I was very interested to go, oh, cool, Lando won.
Yeah.
Rad.
And that's a huge thing that Drive to Survive's put in. Because before that, you would see the drivers maybe have a quick interview before a race with the press, and it was all very structured and very controlled. And then after the race, they'd be in this big press conference room, kind of looks like this. Yeah. They'd all be sitting in the front, and then they'd be asked questions. And it's all very like controlled media responses, like, yes, I crashed into it, I'm sorry, and this and that. Yeah. Where Drive to Survive's like, now that they've got audio recordings for all the drivers in the cars, so you can hear their reactions after the races, in the pits, in the cool-down rooms, in whatever. So you really get to know the character. Like everyone knows, like Lando's this quite interesting guy.
I must say, I liked him from watching Drive to Survive. Like in the first few seasons, like he felt like a really charming, happy, like cool guy. Like he was a dude I'd want to have a drink with.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see him now be so successful.
Yeah, and
do
you
so
really
well.
see the difference in the personalities of each of them. So like Lando's kind of a bit downbeat on himself, maybe a bit too hard on himself, and he doesn't perform well, but he's also a bit arrogant.
Right.
Whereas like Piastri's teammate is like an iceman. He just has no emotion, doesn't respond to anything.
Yeah.
But like it makes it interesting because they like you're like, oh, this person's this and this person's this. Where
Right.
before it was just like red car, blue car, grey car, whatever it might be.
You'd appreciate this. My dad once had a conversation with someone who was a professional sports person
Oh, yeah.
who basically was telling him in so many words, like, good sports people, a little bit like musicians, not the smartest.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like you actually shouldn't be too cerebral
Yeah.
necessarily to be a good athlete.
Yeah.
Right.
But maybe it'd be interesting to see whether Formula One is perhaps that different. But like a drummer, like, you know, the joke is always like they're not that smart.
Right.
Because like sometimes you just want them to be the best, you know, catcher, the best thrower or the best runner. And
Something's got to give.
and you actually can't get too much in their head because just to speak on these sports series that are on Netflix, Sprint is a great one, which is just about the sprinters, the fastest people in the world.
Right.
After Drive to Survive came out, which I think was very much the first, Netflix and the same people behind Drive to Survive as well also just commissioned as many sports docu-series as they
they're
could.
trying to catch lightning in a bottle again. They haven't quite. I think
Yeah,
the
and
golf one was pretty good. The sprinting one was pretty good.
the reason why, just to speak on this one specifically, the reason why Drive to Survive is so good is because there's only 20 characters.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's also what makes Formula One so good. Is it's not this infinite amount of people in the background like tennis, where you've got these 100, 200 top athletes, you know, battling it out. You only have these 20. You can only concentrate and clock a certain amount of names and people and characters in your head.
And also they all like the top of their game. Even the worst driver in Formula One, Stroll, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's a bad example because his dad's a billionaire.
But
all
he
of them,
isn't performing incredibly well
no,
or ever.
And sometimes he does perform incredibly well. Like all of them have their day where they do really well. But all of them are in the same, like they're the same bucket. They're all very good athletes. They're all very successful at what they do. None of them are struggling for money. None of them are like, oh, I got to stop going on Formula One because I can't afford it.
But it's also
anymore.
like inches of a second.
Yeah.
Like it's milliseconds that separate them.
And
But
also they're putting their lives on the line, which makes it quite a lot different to most other sports.
that's
where
a very
they can
good, that's a very
die.
good point. But sorry, just to go back to the point that I was going to make about sprint, is at one point one of the trainers said, all these people can run fast. The difference is where their head's at.
Yeah,
Right.
totally.
And the difference is like what is going through that person's head the second before that gun goes. But yeah, we're going to get into the movie itself. Let's start with a little. Hey, did you guys see?
Oh,
'Cause I want to
yes.
chat about some other things. Nielski, please chime in if you've got any input on all of this. But this is our chance just to talk about some of the latest news that's just happened.
Yeah.
Do you want to kick us off, Chief?
Sure. We actually spoke about this a bit last week, coincidentally. But hey, did you see we have a director for the next James Bond?
Yes, that was
and
on
it is
my list.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, that's fucking exciting.
Wild. That is incredible.
A lot of these sort of meme posts that exist in my sort of more movie-centric algorithms tend to lie.
Oh, right.
And they tend to talk bullshit. But this seems to be overwhelmingly now
no,
officially
this
the
is
case.
This is like confirmed. He is doing it.
I like that. Like,
that
I
is
really
nice.
like
That's incredible.
His directing style's really good.
Yeah.
You feel very confident in his movies.
Well, I just
know-
hope it's better than the last James Bond I thought was awful.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
They
I like
really
the
just destroyed the character. To
no.
me.
I like the big swing of it. I like the fact that like, no, let's kill this fucking dude.
Yeah.
No, like that's cool. It's just everything else in that movie was just.
I
poor.
don't really remember much else, to be honest.
Yeah, I only
Apart
watched it the
from
one
him
time. I
dying.
haven't gone back to it.
But yeah, I think we are due for some new chapter of James Bond. For those who've missed it, the big family that have held on to the rights and controlled the property have since sold.
Yeah, the
So we-
Broccolis.
So we're into a new chapter where Amazon now own
Yeah.
the property of James Bond.
It's
I
just,
think.
and hope they do better than what they did with the Lord of the Rings stuff, because that's also,
Did you start the Lord of the Rings and watch it? Okay, we know some folks liked it.
yeah,
but yeah, this is interesting. I have heard a rumor that the idea is that they want to restart James Bond from like a younger character.
Yes.
And the same algorithms are chirping about it being Tom Holland, but we don't know.
I don't know.
I
Until
can't,
that's
I
confirmed.
know he is British, right?
Yeah, he is British.
Yeah.
But I can't. He's like a smallish man. Like,
Yeah,
Bond's got to be dapper.
He's
and
perfect for
tall
Spider-Man. A little
Exactly.
But I also think like the idea of what James Bond could be must also to some degree be reinvented.
Yeah.
I saw this fucking thing on Instagram. I think it was this morning with like a scene from James Bond, like the Connery Bond.
Oh yeah.
Where he was lying next to a pool with a woman, and her character's name was Dink. What movie was that?
I have no idea.
I don't know whether that was Goldmember. And a guy comes up to meet him, and he says, "Say hello to whoever it is, Dink." And Dink says, "Hello, Mr. Whatever." And then he goes, "Now say goodbye." And she goes, "What?" And he goes, "Man talk." And he like turns her around, slaps her on the bum, and like sends her off.
You see, now I'd love to see a remake where they start off like exactly like that, just set it in the 60s,
and like
just go crazy.
I
with
do
it.
actually want them to set it in the 60s.
I would love that.
That would be cool.
That.
That would
love
be
that.
very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That would be very cool.
But
I loved. I grew up on Pierce Brosnan.
Yes.
GoldenEye was my first.
Yeah.
Boy.
And then it was cool one holiday to go back on the old stuff. And I loved, like, in Dr. No, his only gadget is, or his only, like, gimmick that he pulls out is a piece of hair.
Oh, right.
That's the only thing he does apart from a gun. He takes out one, what's it, a frolic of hair?
Yeah.
A follicle.
Yeah.
A follicle of hair, licks it, puts it over the cupboard
Yeah.
before he leaves. And that's his way of knowing whether anyone
everyone's
got in
opened
the
the
cupboard
door.
or not.
Okay.
It's not even an event. He just stuck a piece of his hair.
Yeah, but that was the only, like, device,
Yes.
let's call it, as opposed to Brosnan, who can fucking Batman himself up cliffs and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like all of these movies, that's why, like, the first couple, like Pierce Brosnan's, like, GoldenEye, and then I think, Tomorrow Never Dies or whatever, they were semi-grounded.
Yeah.
Like, a little bit unrealistic, but then, like, it just gets crazier and crazier and
Yeah.
crazier. And same with the latest ones. Also, the last two movies were insane.
Yeah.
Like, just the stuff
Sure.
that happens, you're like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated now with how these stories evolve and how we get smarter and how we do all these things. Because my one question to you guys is, hey, did you guys see Ben Stiller has finished filming what is only being called at this point the Pickleball movie?
Yeah.
And it's like a dodgeball-esque comedy.
Oh, okay.
And just like what we're talking about now, like, do you think a movie like this could ever be the same?
Yeah.
Do you think the world still wants like a pickleball movie? Or what would that look like? Because Ben Stiller is smart.
Yeah.
This is the guy that brought us Severance. So it'll be interesting to compare a dodgeball to this movie and see how the humor has changed.
Yeah.
I love those kind of movies. Like, Dodgeball, hilarious.
But would you go and watch a dodgeball now?
Look, if it was like a who's the Lonely Island guy?
Yeah, there's the Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg. Like, if it was him doing a dodgeball movie, I'd go watch it.
No, but I mean,
love
like,
those kind of
but
things.
literally the movie Dodgeball, would you put it on and watch it again?
Probably.
Okay.
Like,
Maybe
it's
for some
like,
nostalgia.
just for a chilled like Sunday afternoon, have a laugh. Don't take it too seriously. Just
Because
zone out.
they were great movies in their time.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated at how humor
Oh,
changes,
yeah, totally.
how some things just aren't that funny anymore, what is timeless.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those, like, watch this space. Let's see what the Pickleball movie is.
Yes.
As long as it's like so ridiculous, like Anchorman's a good example. Like, it's such a ridiculous movie that it's timeless. Like,
Well-
the jokes either land or they don't land, but it was the same thing 20 years ago or now.
Well, some of those movies like Anchorman are just such big, bold, weird swings
Yeah.
that they are often ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Where they're actually not that kind of funny, but then later
Yeah.
you find it funny. And it's almost history will be the same, where it's like it might not do that well, but years later it might be
Yeah.
celebrated.
Anchorman, I did not like it the first time I watched it. I
Same.
thought it was
Okay.
bad.
But
The
then you
second
found
time I
yourself
watched
quoting it
and
at
I
a
was
braai.
like, this is amazing. This
Yeah.
movie's so good.
Well, speaking of that,
Yeah.
hey, did you guys see New York Times published the 100 greatest films of the 21st century
Oh, okay.
so far? And it was quite a nice, big, buzzy article that's been floating around for the last few days.
Okay.
So their pick of the 100 greatest,
Yeah.
and I thought it was interesting. Anchorman made that list.
Oh, right.
Movie.
Coming in at just at 100
Yeah.
was Superbad.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it
That's-
just
that's a
made
great
it.
movie.
And I love the fact that there were some comedies on this list because people often say, like, the comedies are the big ones. They're successful. They can shift the needle. They can change culture. They can really do great, but often don't get the Oscars, obviously.
For sure.
Other things that were interesting, I was surprised to see that Borat, the first Borat, made as much as 53 on the list. It was halfway through this list, which I thought was really interesting.
Right.
Spirited Away was the best animated film on the list.
Okay.
It made the top 10. That was at 9. It was very cool to see one of my favorite films of all time, Eternal Sunshine, at number 7.
Great movie.
What do you think was number 1?
Is
This
it an art team? I haven't looked at the list, so I don't know.
And so just remember, this is what's nice about this is that we take out
21st
the
century.
Citizen Kanes
yeah,
of
there's
the
no
world
Citizen
because
Kane.
this is now just since 2000.
Ooh.
I'm trying to think of something
It is
Like-
not in English.
not in English.
Oh, interesting.
It's not like that black and white movie.
It's not in black and white.
Like
You guys Graham, I know you liked it.
Okay. I
Amelie.
don't know what it is.
Amelie was close, and I was very excited to see it. I think
Nice.
it was in top 20.
Cool.
City of God.
No, but that made it. It
I
was
love
in
that.
the list.
Okay.
That's probably my favorite movie of all time. So.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Parasite.
Oh, of course.
No,
Okay.
no. Like it's a
Interesting.
cool movie, but I don't think it's like I can see why, and I think maybe because it's like South Korean and like they sort of came out of the nowhere and sort of just
Sweep the Oscars.
Yeah, big
yeah.
time.
So yeah, interesting. Hey,
Cool.
All right. Okay. Any other ones?
Let me look at my list real quick. Where's my list? I suppose we can talk about this quickly. Hey, did you see that Disney and Universal are suing Midjourney? So Midjourney are the AI, one of the many AI generative companies out
Yes.
there, and
Okay.
Disney and Universal are suing them for copyright infringement. Basically
Because-
saying, "Hey, your AI, whatever, are being trained on our property and are able
Yeah.
to replicate them."
Makes sense.
Yeah,
So
good.
there was another one that came out, and I think it was OpenAI or something.
Yeah.
But they won the case against like
Okay.
Penguin Books or something. And they
Oh
had the
yes,
exact
I did
same
see this
thing.
recently.
And they said, look, it's
What are the arguments on either side? It makes perfect sense that you could bang out some image that looks just like their property.
Yes.
but
But then their argument is it's not their property. It's been
yeah. So I think the studios
Made
are
from
trying to
scratch.
say you using our IP to train these things, and we're not getting anything back for it. But it's
Yeah.
like their argument's like, well, you're not charging people to read your book and learn how to draw animation from watching your movies from back in the day. So it's like it's like the same as a person learning. You're not going to charge them for learning because they used your artwork as inspiration.
it's a great point. Because you could watch a whole bunch of Mission Impossible movies and write your own Mission Impossible based on
Yeah, and no one's going
The
to be like, oh,
inspiration.
this is a Mission Impossible movie. You'll just like, no, it's not. It's a Russell Goes to Hollywood movie or whatever it might be.
I suppose the difference is Midjourney is making money off of it. They're actually like,
Charging.
yeah, they're
people.
charging people to be
But
able
if
to
you
generate
learn how
these
to
things.
draw
Yeah.
and you charge people to do Disney-esque looking kiddies drawings, it's the same thing. But Disney's not going to come and sue you immediately. They'll find you eventually.
it all depends on how much money you're making from your
once Mickey Mouse finds out you're actually making a good living, he's
Yeah.
going to come and ask for his share.
I think it was Sam the other day brought up the term clean AI, which I thought was an interesting term that I hadn't seen before, which some filmmakers are using, where they are using AI in their filmmaking process, but they're not stealing it from others.
Yeah.
They mining it from their own thing.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It's an interesting world we're living in at the moment.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I also just thought that, like, you've just had a kid, Neil. I am starting a baby making journey with my wife. our kids are only going to know a world that has AI in it. They're not going to know a world without it.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
And they won't know what a magazine is.
Yeah, they won't. It'll just be like a leaflet for them. And it's like, no, these used to be thicker.
Yeah.
And there was articles in them that actually shifted the conversation.
Yeah.
But that's literally what Instagram stories is. It's a copy of FHM. It's so it's so vacuous and silly and trivial and passing, right?
Yeah.
Like next week is another.
We all got FHM for the articles, boys.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. All right. Let's get into F1.
Cool.
All right. I managed to see it a few weeks ago in a exhibitor screening. I have mentioned before in these conversations that I do struggle sometimes in these exhibitor screenings because I don't have other people to gauge it off.
Right.
And sort of get a sense of the room. All I got is what I thought was cool. It was quite early in the morning. I managed to see it in IMAX. I was won over by the end of it, and I was like, I'm pumped.
Cool.
It movies and cinema for me, for the most part, is a magic show, and if I get swept up in it,
Right.
I'm in. So we talk about this all the time, that I love a good gooey moment. I love it when my sort of insides get sort of warmed up like a microwave. And I got that in F1. And I got that like, let's fucking go. Like I had that like energy, and I left that going, fuck, this is good.
Okay.
I wondered whether or not it was going to be a Bioscope movie. Because whenever the marketing of a movie says, watch it on the biggest screen possible, that's not the Bioscope. And they tend to be these big action films, which is often not the Bioscope, because we don't like it when someone is secretly an assassin. That's a little no-no for the Bioscope. Well, it helps us guide us whether or not it's a Bioscope movie or not. But by the end of this, I was like, the story is good enough, the acting is good enough, the whole package is unique and exciting enough. Formula One as a concept is nuanced and sophisticated. This is nuanced and sophisticated to many degrees. This should be a Bioscope movie. So we're screening it. We had the opening weekend just pass us.
Yeah.
That's when you got a chance to see it, Graeme. Nielski, I got you to go and attend the media screening, which was very cool to give you that chance. So you saw it last week. And we are going to start screening it from this weekend at the Bioscope, which is exciting. All right. I fucking liked it. I thought it was great. It was everything that it needed to be. What did you guys think? Should we maybe start with you, Neil?
Yeah. So I actually really enjoyed it. I don't think it's not going to set the world on fire. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but it was very enjoyable. 2 hours and 15 minutes or so to.
Well, let me tell you,
watch.
It's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
The credits are very long though. The credits are about 15 minutes because we were like, okay, we're actually going to get home before 11 o'clock. This is okay. It was really cool. So coming from the background of Formula One fan. I don't know if it's going to make everyone who's a big Formula One fan, especially from the technical level, because there's a lot of stuff where they really skip over a lot of the rules and the technology and kind of stuff to make the movie work. And it's obviously, you got to work a story around some things. If it's just following the rules, it's going to just be kind of boring.
Well, that's interesting because from my perspective, as someone who doesn't know all the rules, I was like, wow, they're really getting into the nuance of all the rules.
So
it just shows you how many there are.
Yeah.
Can we talk spoilery things? Can we talk plot points? Or are we going to keep it sort of...
Maybe. Well, we've got a device, we call it the spoiler alley, where after the show, we'll go, you vape, you don't smoke cigarettes. You vape.
Well, yeah.
Well, if you vape or smoke cigarettes, you can smoke them in the alley afterwards, and that's when we can get into sort of plot spoilers.
Okay, well, I just want to see what I should talk about. So what's really good is they do, and I think it will also annoy people who are no Formula One, because they make it very overtly clear what stuff is happening, which is good. It's like, oh, the DRS is opening, so you can go faster down the straight.
They're going to have to hold your hand through
Yeah,
something.
they hold it a lot, and they're like, oh, these guys, they have to switch their tires twice or use 2 different compounds of tires. Like every Formula One fan knows these things, but if you are a first-time watcher, you have no idea, and you'd be like, why are they doing this?
So you got to tolerate some of that, and so there will be that nuance where the girl who just came for Brad Pitt, that's there because her boyfriend really loves Formula One. Sorry to sort of make this sexist, but she needs some explanation.
Yeah, and they do it really well because they sort of build it into the commentary of the race, and they're using the real Sky commentators, Martin Brundle and David Croft, I think, are the 2 guys.
Yeah, because I was about to say
sounds pretty good. You can hear when they're sort of just reading their lines. It's not like they're not obviously responding to real life events. But it's pretty good. It's like if you don't know about it, you'll think, hey, this is.
They very
cool.
much got the voices of F1. So so I think the real masterpiece for me of the film was how well they stuck themselves in the world of F1.
Absolutely, that was the most amazing thing to me.
We were privy to these things happening. 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, it was the last 2 seasons
when obviously they had to use the infrastructure of F1 to shoot the movie. So for those who know, a race will take place over the whole weekend. There'll be like the warm-ups, there'll be the qualifiers, and then there'll be the race, right?
Yeah.
So in between these actual events of the weekend, Brad Pitt would sort of get in the car and would drive and do some scenes, and they shot some scenes because obviously to recreate these Formula One races would be crazy. So they had to shoot them in the moment when they were happening. So that was all very exciting. And you see other famous people that you've come to know as, they're obviously real people. But for me, they were characters of Drive to Survive, where you like, I know these team principles, and they actually acted really well in the movie.
And I think they did. None of them have like these long meandering discussion scenes. Or
they just got these little cameo
just got
moments.
Little cameos, quips, 1 or 2 words, and they all come across to get their personalities across really nicely.
And they have been acting. Sorry to interrupt. They have been acting for Drive to Survive. These real principals have had to actually really get used to cameras.
Yeah, and reading, say, I am this person from this team, and this is Drive to Survive, and blah blah blah, and responding to questions.
When you think about it, so much of what you actually see in Drive to Survive is a very orchestrated, plot-driven show where it'll just be like him and his wife, casually having a breakfast, talking about, what it'll be like when Lewis Hamilton leaves Mercedes. And you think it's all caught in the moment, but of course it's not. They've got to sit and wait while the cameras reset, and they're like, okay, so now you got to say, sure, I wonder what, what life would,
so
they got to act.
They've definitely got some stuff. And they're talking about like fitting into the real races. Strangely, like there's actually not that much racing scenes in the movie itself.
Yeah.
There's maybe, I don't know, I can't say exactly, but it's a lot less than you would expect there is. There's enough, you feel like it, and I think it would become a bit monotonous if they kept on doing it. But what's crazy is that if you watch a lot of Drive to Survive, all the seasons like I have, and you see Perez get hit and his car fly through the air, they then manage to integrate their cars and their races into those race scenes, and like they're avoiding those cars, and it looks like it actually happened. When obviously those cars were never there in the races, but those racing events you see are real racing events. So when you see a real driver like a Hamilton or a Verstappen crash, they crashed and then they fit the characters' cars into the movie, and they do it seamlessly that it doesn't. You can't, like, you actually then, that's where you get that fuzzy, warm feeling inside where you're like,
we have different fuzzy,
really
warm
cool.
feelings
Yeah.
at different times. But quick back of the box, Brad Pitt is one of those super talented drivers and races in all different shapes and forms. We meet him at the start of the film doing like a sort of...
They turn at 24 hours.
Yeah, a 24-hour race,
The
which
one
is cool.
thing with that, like that's probably the best shot sequence in the entire film. Like
The opening
that
sequence.
opening sequence is
Interesting.
beautiful. And like with those cars, because they're not Formula One cars, like visually they're probably a bit more interesting than a Formula One car.
Yeah.
So
perhaps.
I really love that, like the flames coming out the back of the car and everything. It's a really beautiful scene.
Yeah.
And then he gets met by his old friend, played by Javier Bardem.
He was cool.
Very cool. And he convinces him to come and help him in Formula One. Because, just to get into some of the weeds, you need to earn points throughout the season. Points equals money. And so there's a good chance that if you're in the bottom of the league, you could lose out. You could be relegated, right?
Well, not relegated, but you just might not be able to afford to continue.
Yeah,
So-
if you can't afford to continue, another team will inevitably kind of come in and take your place.
So these days, the one maybe unrealistic thing is that Formula One, those teams, even if you score 0 points, you become the 10th team out of 10. You probably still have enough money that you'll survive. The value of your team, just because it's in Formula One, is worth so much that there'll always be a sponsor or a buyer or someone who will come and purchase the team.
Okay.
It's like having an NFL team. You can lose every season, but just having the team is this super valuable proposition.
Yeah. And so they're about to lose money, and he really needs him. And so,
and it's his team, and he's going to lose the team, and then some, big wig corporate types, Elon Musk types, as they really try to show in the movie. You want to maybe take over.
Yeah. And this team is a fictional team that they've made up. It's, what was it called again?
Apex F1.
Apex
yeah.
F1.
So it's a fictional 11th team, but like again, they integrate it so well.
And they do so many little things, like the clothes that they wear are very much a homage to the Mercedes outfit, which is that like white, that like tight, crisp white shirt. The graphics of the team and sort of the sponsors and things, they just fit in so nicely. So now the movie is about Brad Pitt, bringing this team to some glory. And of course, what's interesting is that the sport has so many nuances and so many ways that you can use the rules. The real charm of the movie is how they use the rules of F1, knowing that they can't get there just on the car alone. And that brings up some of these interesting tactics, which I thought was an interesting thing to then see.
So that definitely does.
And is that where the liberties then start?
Yeah. So he would definitely have been banned after like what he did in the first race.
Okay.
The whole team probably would have been expelled from the sport after what they carried on doing.
So but it's interesting that there obviously were these liberties that had to happen for plot and story and character.
Yeah.
But so much of it was so accurate. Like there are these lovely stories of Lewis Hamilton, who came in as a producer on the film, who would say things like, "No, at this point you're in the wrong gear.
Right.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong gear. You got to change the pitch of your sound."
Okay.
I find it fascinating that these drivers, I don't know whether you've heard, you probably know this, Neil, but I don't know whether you've heard this, Graeme, like you can play the car sounds, just the car sounds to these F1 drivers, and they can tell you immediately which race it is.
Oh, right.
They can be like, that noise to that noise to that noise, oh, that's Spa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or that's Silverstone. They just know every inch of these things.
Yeah.
But again, this is what you said. Like their job is to do this. This is what they've spent their entire lives to achieve, and they're the 20 best people at it. Like, almost expect them. They should know how to do this.
Yeah, no, of course. No, there is that lovely moment where you're like, I should fucking hope you know how to do this properly. Yeah. Lovely. And then, of course, not to give anything away, but there's this lovely moment. It's quite a big plot point in the movie where you can clearly see they, in the writing process with Lewis Hamilton, said, what is the most craziest act of God moment where this could happen? Like, what is the most improbable, but it could happen? And you could probably imagine Lewis Hamilton would have thought this through before and would have said, well, if that happens and this happens and this happens, this can happen.
Yeah.
And so that writing, you feel, came from the expert, as opposed to the Hollywood writer, where they sat the guy down and just said, how can we make, what would be the most insane moment?
How can we get this?
How can we get, how could that person do that well.
But that brings me to what I really did enjoy is like all the little inside jokes and Easter eggs that are actually in the movie. If you are an F1
what are some of the nice ones for you?
So, bit of a spoiler, but there's a red flag situation near the end of the movie.
What is a red flag in general?
When there's a massive accident or damage to the track, or like multiple cars have been damaged and they can't, clear the track in time, they'll say red flag. That means the race has stopped. Say it's on lap 21 of 70. They'll all go back to the pits, and then depending on what the weather's like or what the track layout is like, they'll either then restart behind a safety car, like all in one long line, or they'll do a full-on race restart where they go on the main straight, on the grid, set up the cars again, and they start the race again, from scratch.
It's wild because during the race, let's say the first 20 laps of this race, they are calculating to the millisecond how far away they are from each other, and you've gained this much, and this guy is this far ahead of you, and you're in this like nuanced balance of like millimeters. And then all of a sudden, you have to completely restart, and you lose all of that. And you have to go again.
And the thing is, that's why like the one main character's mother says like, how does getting it wrong make it right? And he's like, this is Formula One. Sometimes doing the wrong thing like is a huge advantage. And like that's happened a lot of times where there's a red flag and the guy who was well out the points, he gets like the fresh tires and the super advantage and everything like that. There was a nice callback to Rush. I don't know if you picked that up.
I've never seen Rush.
Have you never seen Rush? That's a great movie. Where they call the car a shitbox. Like that's a big scene in Rush. There's also lots of callbacks to actual events in F1. Obviously, like there's the big accident that goes back to what happened in Drive to Survive where the car exploded. I don't know if you remember that.
Who was the driver that had the car explode?
Romain Grosjean. He climbed out, so trying to not give too many spoilers away. And then at the beginning, the big accident in the 90s that set off Sonny Hayes' career or whatever, that's actually based on a real accident that happened in the 1990s.
Brad Pitt's character is Sonny Hayes.
Yeah.
Okay, so he, just to mention at this point, Brad Pitt's character, Sonny Hayes, used to be in F1. So it's not improbable that he's coming back to help this team. He was a racer.
That's a little
F1.
bit too old.
He's maybe a little bit too old. How old is Fernando Alonso?
42. Brad Pitt's like 60.
Yeah, but Brad Pitt looks 40.
Yeah,
what do they age him as in the movie?
So if he was driving,
But they don't give him an actual age
they
in the
don't.
movie.
But I was trying to figure it out. So that car he's driving at the beginning, they do like a flashback to like when he was driving in the 90s. Say that real life, that accident happened in like 1990. But you can say maybe it's like 1993, 1992. It can't be later because Ayrton Senna is still alive. So let's say it's 1992. He's 22 years old.
Okay, so it's mid-40s then,
No, he's way old.
Okay.
He's like mid-50s, which is not impossible. So there have been drivers, and they even mentioned in the movie that like these guys, I didn't check if those are real drivers because it might be. But I think it's like pre-Grand Prix time, like in the 1930s and 40s. You had like these gentleman racers who were in their 50s winning races.
At this point, you've got very young guys in Formula One that are like, don't even have their actual driver's licenses for the roads of the countries they live in. Racing against guys that are like 42, a little bit older, 42. Yeah. So like, they compared the oldest driver, Fernando Alonso, with the youngest, and they were like, Fernando Alonso has been racing for longer than this kid's been alive.
Absolutely. So the youngest now is Kimi Antonelli. He's just turned 18, just wrote his matric exams last week.
Jeez.
So he's still trying to keep the mental faculties going and being a racing driver.
Have you watched The Seat on Netflix?
No, I need to watch it still.
It's a lovely, just single short film, just specifically about him joining Mercedes. Okay, what are the Easter eggs?
So then also, obviously, there's the everyone's favorite character from Drive to Survive as one of the foils that he comes up later, Gunter.
Oh yeah.
What else was there? There's lots of like little things. I mentioned Michael Schumacher, which is always nice. I always like that when they mention him because he is my hero. So a whole bunch of little stuff that comes through all the time.
But for the most part, you perhaps weren't 100% wild about it because
I'm not sure. Like it's a very predictable movie, and I can see who it's made for. It's made for people who aren't massive Formula One fans, which makes sense because there's more of them than there are massive Formula One fans.
Yeah, and you also can it's a little bit like cinephiles or audiophiles. It's like you cannot make a movie for them.
Yeah.
Because you'll never you'll never be good enough.
Yeah.
And there will always be someone that knows more, that says, fuck this.
And it's just like, obviously, like the tropes that they fall into, it's like, oh, they have the bad pit stops and the design of the car's crap and they can't do this right and they can't do that right. Like, it's like in real life, they're a Formula One team. They're all experts at what they do. And I know it's a movie and they have to do those tropes, but like in Formula One, as you were saying, it's such a high performance sport.
Yeah.
Everyone should be on. Like they shouldn't be like, oh, why is the car rubbish? Why doesn't it work? They know why the car doesn't work. They know what they need to do.
Sure.
It's a bit like what's it in Armageddon? It's like why train the drillers to be astronauts? Why don't you just train an astronaut to drill a hole?
Exactly.
Have you seen that comment where Ben Affleck asked Michael Bay that?
Yeah.
And he just said, "Shut the fuck up," and he's like, "So that was the end of that conversation."
No, for sure. And like that's that kind of thing. It's like these guys, they're like, oh, we don't know how to do a pit stop. It's like, no, you do know how to do a pit stop. You've been doing a pit stop for the last 3 years. Like,
that's literally what you do. That is your job.
But I liked it. And the other thing I would have liked to see is more, as you said, the technical side. Like those shots when they're doing the aerodynamics and in the winter, like that to me, like I love that stuff. And I would have loved to see like more just like slow pan beauty shots of the cars and like maybe like little nuggets of cool. Oh, this engineering bolt was designed for like 15 hours and cost like £2,000 to develop.
Also, things like the importance of qualifying.
Yeah,
there's no qualifying in the movie at all.
I think they had to cut something out.
Yeah.
It would just, and like if you don't know, you just like,
exactly.
Why are they practicing? Why are they qualifying? Why are there 3 qualifying rounds? What is going on?
And just to speak specifically, what is the importance of qualifying for those who don't know?
Well, qualifying determines the starting grid.
Yes.
So it determines first to, in real life, 20th.
And the idea is that for the most part, barring a crazy moment or crazy things happening,
exactly,
the people in the front tend to win.
Yeah. So
or what percentage?
Like 90.
It's also changed a lot.
4, yeah.
Because like the rules around aerodynamics have changed so much. There were times in Formula One where overtaking was almost impossible because of like the aerodynamic rules. So if you qualified top 3, that was probably the way the race was going to end.
And the qualifying happens where they each individually race, and whoever gets the best time gets in the front.
Yeah.
And that difference is often milliseconds.
Yeah. It's like tenths of a second
Exactly.
or hundredths of a second.
But the guy in the front
got a huge
could be
advantage.
10 milliseconds away from the guy at the back.
Yeah.
Like that's just how
maybe a 10, maybe the closest has been is maybe a second, which is still nothing.
Yeah.
For 20 cars to lap a 5 kilometer round circuit and all be within 1 second of each other is insanely crazy.
It's wild, and that's also testament to the fact that they all are the best.
And it shows how close, because back in the 90s, the gaps would maybe be 5 or 6 seconds between first and last.
Yeah.
And it's just like now all the cars are so close. So like, yes, theoretically, you can have a last to first race. Like Hamilton's done it in the past. Verstappen's done it in the past.
What
But
does that mean?
where you start basically at the back and you end up winning the race.
Okay.
But like a lot of things have to go in your favor.
Yeah. Okay.
Usually weather, crashes, that kind of stuff. But it's not impossible. But in this movie, they kind of, I think maybe that's also why they take qualifying out, because how they filmed it, they had to be at the back all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like
They're the underdog.
no, but like in real life, there's a real Formula One race, and these guys are parked on the back of the grid.
Yeah.
They can't park them in the front because those guys all drove off and they pulled those cars off into the thing before they got around.
Oh, they actually shot it in a
real race,
an actual race.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
didn't know they
had to be
actually
at the
did that.
back. Which is again amazing how they like fill it in. And if you're not a huge Formula One fan, you kind of don't worry that much about the qualifying.
Yeah.
And they kind of say like, oh well, we suck at qualifying. We're really slow. We'll have to win in the race. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
What did you think, G-Force?
I thought it was a great spectacle. You know, like it looked incredible. Like the technology that the cameras and stuff that they developed were really impressive.
That's quite
and
a big part of it.
It's great to look at. Yeah.
The director was like, it was because of what they developed on Maverick. Hey,
Okay.
certain
Yeah, the
certain
camera
systems.
Yes.
What are those systems? Is that like droney stuff? What is that?
No,
think
well,
it's-
those are IMAX cameras,
Yeah.
but they're like this big.
Yes.
It's like
okay,
a
so
real
the fact that they
IMAX
got
is-
them small enough to fit on the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah, to mount to the car, and they're on these like rigs that can like turn. Like you'll see they do it a lot. These shots where it's on the car and it like spins a
they
full like
love that
180.
turny
Yeah.
shot. Like it was cool the first 2 times,
Yeah.
and then
It's one of those. If you got it, flaunt
Yes.
it, baby.
But like I think I loved Maverick. I think it's one of
I watched that with you.
it was great movie, and I think there's more dynamics you can do with an airplane flying through air than
Sure.
a Formula One car.
Of
And
course.
Formula One, to its credit, their camera technology in real life is really, really good now.
Yeah.
So it's not, if you watch a lot of Formula One, it's not that much different than the shots they were getting.
Yeah.
Other than like the really cool flippy around shots.
Yeah.
Seeing their eyes, I think, was a masterstroke. Like having clear visors so you can like see, because there's a lot of emotion that comes through people's eyes. And like in a Formula One car, like that's all you see of the driver. So that was really cool how they did all of that.
Yeah.
But overall,
I think, I liked it overall, but I think, like we're saying, they actually shot this on race weekends with real Formula One cars and that sort of thing, which is, I mean, it's the only way you could make this film. But at the same time, it puts the limitation on the film that none of the other drivers are characters.
yeah,
Right, so the only characters you have are these 2 guys that are on the same team, which means there's no rivalry with other drivers. There's no like competition with other drivers other than like what we visually get to see.
Yeah, well, he
on-
was also
on
an outsider,
track
so
to
he
track.
didn't have a relationship with any of them.
Yeah, again, but I'm saying like that just like dramatically puts you in like a little bit of a box.
Yeah,
You
it
know-
also points out the one thing that is interesting about Formula One is that
Yeah.
you got 2 guys on a team.
Yes.
They compete against each other.
Yeah, it's an interesting space where they're competing, but it's also a team sport.
Yeah, it's
But they're
it's an
also
interesting
competing. It's
nuance
really
that F1 has that.
But then the other thing that I think like this is more like from a movie sort of thing where you have these 2 characters and they're like in a rivalry with one another, and the one saying you're an arsehole and the other guy saying you're an arsehole, and we should be able to be on both their sides. But the whole movie I'm going, but Brad Pitt's not really an arsehole.
Yeah.
Like he's super nice to everyone. Like he's almost like I will like give this guy some flaws. He's like too nice and too
interesting.
consistent, and it's impossible to be on like the other guy's side, the like rookie guy.
Yeah.
Because he's saying no, you're an arsehole, you're as bad as I am, but you're going like no, you're way more of an arsehole.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
you want to be able to like be on both sides of this rivalry.
Yeah, no, Brad
we
Pitt
can't.
was very perfect
Yes.
in that sense, and
like
it's
too much so.
And it's like a little bit like my secretly an assassin sort of grudge. It's like,
Yeah.
of course he's going to be the best driver
And
in the world.
Like I get you have to like when you're doing like a buddy thing like this, they can't have the same personality.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have a straight man and the other guy.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to divide them some way. But at the same time, I'm just going like the other guy is so like overtly arrogant and full of shit that you can't not be on Brad Pitt's side the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like dramatically, I want like something more there
Yeah,
to.
the characters were very shallow.
Yeah.
Actually, they're just such stereotypical. Here's the good old guy. Here's
Yes.
the arrogant young upstart.
Yeah.
It's the
Javier
exact same
Bardem's
plot as
character was
Cars.
cool. He
Yes,
was a lacquer guy.
it's the exact same plot as Cars 3.
Cars
It's
3's
the
a
exact
lovely
same.
movie.
It actually is pretty good, but it's the exact same
Is it?
movie.
It's a really great
I
movie.
haven't seen Cars 3.
we gotta get you lots. So we gotta do what Cars 3, Rush,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then
Rush
the,
is
the most
great,
important
dude.
one is Days of Thunder.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah. So there's
That's a better movie than this movie.
okay. There's talk of perhaps a sequel in the future where
Which is wild because Days of Thunder was a huge flop.
interesting.
It was a massive
People
flop.
didn't know how good they had it back then.
Yeah, and there is a kind of weird link between the directors
Oh, yeah.
because Tony Scott, who did Days of Thunder, did the first Top Gun,
Yeah.
and then
Well, also this
Kaczynski
was produced
did
by
the
Jerry
second.
Bruckheimer.
It's all Jerry
who also
Bruckheimer.
produced
So
Days of
they
Thunder.
could exist in the same world where
Yeah.
Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt could be united in the future, where Sonny Hayes and
And again, like in
Yeah.
Days of Thunder, they were doing the same thing, driving real
Yeah.
cars in the races with
Yep.
the camera equipment, doing all that stuff, taking the stuff they learned from Top Gun,
Yeah.
putting it into the cars.
that was where Tom Cruise met Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, no, and the other movie, I don't know if you want to discuss,
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Driven.
Oh, right. The
Do
Sylvester
Do you know the story
Stallone.
about Driven?
No.
So Driven is the 1999, I think,
Something like that.
Stallone IndyCar movie where
Okay.
Stallone, very similar plot to this,
Yeah.
is the old guy coming back.
Yeah.
There's a young rookie upstart in a team that's struggling.
Yeah.
But the main thing about that movie, it was supposed to be an F1 movie.
Yes.
So the original thing, if you look at Formula One in between 95 and 98,
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone was at all the races, schmoozing with the people. They were trying to get a deal done to make this an F1 movie. Same kind of plot, like
Okay.
whatever the plot of Driven is, they wanted to do it as an F1 movie. And Bernie Eccleston said, no, not a good idea. Probably to his benefit, because it was very cringy, but like, if you watch that
Of
and
its
this
time,
one,
yeah.
no, it was bad of its time as well.
really?
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't a good movie. And like they end up driving down the streets
Yes.
of like
I was going to say, I remember that. They like steal the cars and they're like
they're
driving down the streets.
and they're
it's
like the sewage lids, what are they called?
Yeah.
Are flying in the air because
Yeah.
like the cars are sucking them up, and they're not driving with helmets on. They've got their helmets off. Like it's madness.
So we can see their face. Yeah.
It's
funny.
But like it's so interesting if you look at the plot, just the overall plot line of that movie
Yeah.
and this movie, it's actually very, very close. But this movie clearly helps having the F1 connection, and F1 I
Yeah.
think also hopefully did enough to say like, guys, like let's keep it in the realms of realism. You
Yeah.
know? We can't go driving down the
They
streets
they
just
Yeah.
yet.
they funded it, right?
I think so, to an
They,
extent at
they've
least.
fun, yeah. Like I think
How much of that movie is literally F1 paying for it?
I have
think
no idea.
it's basically a commercial for F1.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like
and
the
it
Lego
is.
movie.
I think
Yeah.
it's gonna. I'm wondering how much of this film, because there have been films in the past. We're talking about James Bond. Some of the James Bond movies, the entire budget is paid for by product placement.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how much, because this must have been like a licensing nightmare, because every car is just covered in sponsorship like logos and everything. So they would have had to get approval for all of those.
Yeah, well, F1 probably owns some kind of rights to put
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
things.
rights
They also,
management, yeah.
they are paying F1 a fuck ton of money,
yeah.
and then F1 are like, well, you're going to be in Drive to Survive, so pay us more.
Exactly.
And it's like, you're now going to be in this movie, so
Like
pay us
the cars
more.
are billboards,
So
basically.
I don't think they have to ask for permission. They just ask for more money.
No, yeah, and I think because F1's behind it, and they're like, well, we're already paying, and like now, I think did like 145 million.
about 144 opening weekend.
Yeah.
So
it's
done pretty damn well.
It's
It's
now,
a pretty strong weekend.
It's
Yeah.
been Brad Pitt's largest opening weekend.
Oh, wow.
This weekend beat World War Z.
Okay.
World War Z.
Still haven't watched that movie.
Yeah, it's not that great.
It's fine.
It's fine. But yeah, so the economy is there. People dig it. I think it's going to have a long life like Maverick did, which is
Yeah.
why I was happy to skip week one as a
Okay.
cinema, because we also had encounters on, so we couldn't really capitalize on the opening weekend. But I think it's going to be one of those ones where people watch it for a while. You want to see it on some big screen.
Yeah.
So
Why not the bioscope?
So why
Why
not
not?
the bioscope? Let's talk just one or two other things.
Sure.
If that's cool. Is there anything else that you're dying to say? Oh, I've got one question for you, Neil. South Africa's connection to
F1.
Formula One. We once had a champion?
So
Yeah.
so we've hosted F1 in the 60s, in the 70s, and in the 90s. Actually, up to 85, we hosted it. Then because of
There was a Formula One in South Africa in 85.
Yeah.
well
That
from
was
the
awesome.
from the 60s to 85. Then in 1992 and 1993, we also had Formula One at Kyalami. Kyalami has always been the Formula One track. I think they might have done one or two in Cape Town at Killarney or Aldo Scribante or one of those other racetracks we have. We've got a huge history in Formula One. So Jody Scheckter was world champion for Ferrari in 1979. He's a South African.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive. He lives in England. He's very wealthy. He owns like an engineering firm. We have Gordon Murray, who who designed the McLaren F1 road car, which was like the fastest road car in the world. It's probably the most valuable road car in the world. He worked for McLaren in the 80s and Brabham in the 70s and won them Formula One World Championships. We had Rory Byrne, who was the designer of Ferrari's dominant years in 2000 to 2007. He designed the cars. So there's a massive connection to racing and Formula One in this country.
And F1 is the Kyalami racetrack is owned by Porsche.
Yeah, so Porsche South Africa, Toby Fenter, I think is his name. He owns the track, and Porsche South Africa basically owns the track. They've recently had it graded as a Grade 1, FIA Grade 1 track, or when they do the upgrades they're going to do to it, it'll become a Grade 1 track, and it has to be that to be Formula 1 ready, which means it's got the right level of safety, it's got enough pit spots for everyone, and then I think the main thing Kyalami actually needs is grandstands and spectator improvements, because it doesn't have, it's got like a capacity of 50,000 or whatever, where most tracks are 150,000 plus people.
Yeah.
So if they do this and they build it, like it's between us and I think Morocco, or like the other country that are asking to have a F1 race, and I think Ethiopia or Rwanda apparently is also looking. Like Rwanda's got some weird money things going on.
Well, I remember with the FIFA World Cup, it was between us and Morocco.
In
the attempt
and Morocco's
to try and
also had a Formula One race. I think it was an unofficial race in Casablanca years and years ago in the
well,
1950s.
I've been to Morocco, and you realize it's almost like this extra state of Spain.
Yeah,
like it is where the Spanish go in winter to just get a little bit more sunshine.
Get away from all the British that
so
are there.
So there's a huge European sort of flavor in it now. Obviously, it's got this long history of being colonized by many different people, but there is a big sort of Spanish flair. So it could be interesting that it could have a lot of investment there.
Yeah.
When could we realistically have a...
Theoretically, like 2027.
Okay.
Like you'd need the government to come in. The government would have to front up some money. It's not cheap. You'd probably lose money for the first couple of years. So you'd have to do it as this is South Africa, look how cool it is, we're hosting a Formula One race. I know like Lewis Hamilton's massively keen on having a race in Africa and in South Africa specifically, because as he argues correctly, it's not really a world championship if you're not going to one of the biggest continents on the planet.
Like the biggest, yeah, wild.
So like I've been hoping, like if it happens, I'm gonna buy the most expensive tickets. I'm gonna go into like the hospitality booths. I'm gonna meet all the like I'll spend all of my money.
You've managed to go to a few, hey?
Yeah, I've gone to 2 Formula Ones in the past. I went to Monaco Grand Prix, which was very, very cool.
Yeah.
In 2013, and then in 2015 I went to the Australian Grand Prix.
Right.
And is it as cool there? Obviously the vibe is just exciting, but to actually watch the race once lights out, is it as fun? Or
it's probably a worse, like it's like most live sport. It's probably worse than watching on TV because you don't get to see everything. I think these days, like now, when you've got F1 TV on your phone, I'd totally just have that set up with commentary and then be watching both at the same time.
Okay.
But the vibe there is amazing. And like Monaco was basically just like a giant party city for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like it's just everything. Like the race itself is Monaco. It's never the most exciting race. And like where you stand, you see the cars go underneath you, and then like that's about it, and you can watch the TV screen. Australia is much more like a festival event where you feel like, oh, I want to take my kids, I want to take the wife, but it is still motorsport, so there's a lot of kind of just sitting around and watching cars go around a track, and you know, a lot of people don't like that. So like I would sit all day every day and just watch the cars go around and like chat to nerdy people wearing anoraks and finding out about you know what tire pressures they're running and that kind of stuff. But a lot of people find it quite boring. So
one thing that perhaps needs just one explanation, which could maybe help you watch the movie, is what is DRS? Because that is something I actually at one point in a night out said, to you. What is DRS?
So DRS, so back in the day, as you mentioned earlier, like overtaking was very difficult. Like if you got 3 or 4 overtakes in a race, it was like a good race. So to try and combat that, they've tried a whole bunch of different things. And the latest thing, and it's probably been around for about 15 years now, is something called DRS, which is the drag reduction system. Basically, Formula 1 cars got wings at the front and the back of the car, a big wing at the back to generate downforce, stick the car to the road. what DRS does is when they hit a button in the car, it opens a flap on that back wing, and then all that downforce disappears, which makes their car go a lot faster in a straight line. But then they don't want everyone just running it whenever they want because A, it's very dangerous, and B, it'll just make the guy in front go even further away from everyone else. So they made the rule that if you're in 1 second of the guy in front of you during a race, and you're in one of the sections of the track that you're allowed to have DRS, which is usually the long straights, then you can activate it, and it gives you that little boost of speed to make it possible to overtake.
But the guy in front can't have it.
He doesn't have it unless he's got a car in front of him within a second. Then you get
Then
all
everyone can go.
all the cars have it, and that's called a DRS train, which then ruins the race for everyone. 'Cause-
Okay, but that very rarely happens. It's
it
usually-
happens a lot. But,
Oh, okay.
But it's weird because the guy at the very front still doesn't have DRS, but then all the guys behind him, for whatever reason, can't get past. So it's
Yes.
this weird thing that happens.
But it's a little bit like that scene in Fast and the Furious, which they use a lot, where they like press the button and they just go faster.
Yeah.
yeah, no, and it totally is. And also they have like battery systems. Like these are hybrid cars, essentially.
Yeah.
They've got massive battery
interesting.
storage. And with that battery, they can deploy that energy and it gives them
Okay.
another 150, 200 horsepower.
I was going to
which
ask if they
is-
still have that.
Yeah, they do still
It's
have
called a
that.
KERS system
Yeah,
or something.
KERS, kinetic energy recovery system.
Yeah.
It's wild. No, it's geeky as fuck. And I
Yes.
love it.
And I love that part of it.
I was about to say, what is that? Because I know you like the rugby and you
Yeah.
like sport. Why do you specifically like Formula One?
Because
is
of
it that
the
nuance?
technology,
You
yeah.
studied engineering. You did engineering
For a year, yes.
for a year. Yeah.
And then I decided not to do that anymore.
No, but I mean, that's where your brain is at.
Yeah,
You-
that's
when-
where it's exciting.
I don't know whether you know this. You don't know this, Graham. Let me tell you. Neil's my oldest friend.
Right.
I've known him since nursery school.
Hmm.
But I remember going to visit his house, and when we were in primary school, primary school.
Yeah.
Like Neil was one of those guys that had like the computer broken up and was
right.
rebuilding and making his own computers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where I was not doing
Yeah.
that.
Russell was the artistic type.
Yeah, I was learning Nirvana songs on guitar.
Yeah.
But Neil was like making his own PCs.
Right.
So it makes sense that like because there's two big prizes at the end of the year in Formula One. It's the racer,
Yeah. The Drivers'
which is
Championship.
the drivers' championship, which the world kind of sees and knows these personalities. But then the other one is to the team that, and it's about them constructing.
Yeah, the Constructors' Championship.
It's them constructing that car, which I think is quite cool because, we don't really have that in other sports.
Yeah.
And the Constructors' Championship is the one that pays the money.
Yes.
The drivers get no money.
Okay,
There's no big money prize for winning the world championship.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get nothing. Your team obviously gives you bonuses. Your sponsors give you bonuses.
Yeah, you can write
All
your
of
own
that kind of
checks
stuff.
thereafter, but you don't get one.
No,
Yeah.
like when you drive in the race and you win the race, there's no more money in your account from FIA or anything.
Okay.
But it will give the team millions of pounds.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that also then the ones that win and do well get more money.
Yeah.
So the richer do get richer and the poorer do get poorer.
To some extent. So now they've equalized it a lot. So there's a spending cap now, which they never used to have. I think they introduced it in 2016 or somewhere around there. Basically, I think it's at the moment it's 175 million pounds a year.
You've got to declare your budget.
Yeah, and that's everything except for drivers' salaries and I think certain team principals and designers.
Right.
So your driver, that's how Lewis Hamilton can get 100 million pounds a year from Ferrari. Otherwise, like then Ferrari can't build a car for 75 million pounds.
Yeah.
That's sponsorship money or whatever. So all the teams have this 175 million pounds. And as I said earlier, because it's such a big sport now, even the smallest teams, Haas and Williams, their sponsorship money is covering that 175 million pounds every year. So they're all playing off the same like base. And the other thing that they've done is that the worse you do in the year, the more development time you have in the wind tunnels and using computer modeling to make your car faster. So
they give you more time.
so you actually get a benefit for being worse.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
I
that's
didn't
to
know
try
that.
and bring, and you can see, like, okay, McLaren's dominating everyone this year. They've got a really good car. But in qualifying, as I said, like most of the cars are within 1 second of each other, which is insane considering, this is thousands of people working on these cars all around the world, building them, bringing them with all these different ideas, throwing them on a track, and they're all within 1 second of each other.
Yeah, wild. All right. Listen, we've geeked out a lot here today. Is there any other? Because let's wrap up F1.
Cool.
I think we spoke a little bit about that now. Just one little thing to mention. We started watching Chef's Table. There's a new season which is The Legends.
Right.
It starts with Jamie Oliver. That was quite cool. I'm still watching Stick.
Oh yes, the Owen Wilson show
on Apple TV Plus. That's quite fun.
Nice.
There's not too much else going on. Graeme, you're not watching anything else?
Not at the moment. There's so much stuff coming up soon. I'm waiting.
I'm going to get a chance to watch Superman tomorrow.
What?
Ooh.
I'm furious.
No,
I hope it's good. I really hope it's good.
There's been a little
good.
wobbly in the last day or two where
Right.
some people have been privy to it, and the consensus is like it's very mixed.
Right.
You're going to love it or hate it, and I'm like, that's interesting. Because Graeme, you love a good big swing.
Yes.
And I quite like that. I quite like a film that, as long as there are people that love it,
Yeah.
you're onto something. But you might, to make something that's mid that you're trying to please everyone, we'll see. But we'll
Superman's tough, man.
It's a tough one to play with.
Yeah.
But
How do you make a guy who can't die interesting?
Exactly. But as we mentioned at the start of the episode, we've got our Video Store Presents.
Oh yes.
Just one last reminder for that. So 28 days later, the original, the one that started it all, is on the Wednesday that this episode is coming out. So Wednesday, the 2nd of July at 6 p.m.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It was nice. We usually have these conversations around some beers on what is usually a Thursday night. So it's nice to have you come out and
Thank you for the coffee.
and have a chat here at the video store. So thank you, man.
Cool.
And thank you, GeForce.
Not a problem.
Lekker, man. All right. We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers.